Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Professor Hanu Park from Yeongnam University. I'll be giving today's presentation. The title of my talk is Network Mechanisms of Extreme Diffusion in an Age of Polarization. Today, we'll take a close look at how digital network societies are reshaping our political behavior, the way public opinion is formed, and ultimately, democracy itself. Let me start by outlining the four main parts of today's presentation. First, how digital publics shape political behavior. Second, why online networks tend to accelerate ideological bias and polarization. Third, how and why patterns of democratic participation have changed. And fourth, how we can observe these changes through the case of protest movement surrounding President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment in South Korea. I will be structuring the talk around these four key questions. Let's begin by looking at how protest culture has changed. During the military regimes of the 1970s and 80s in South Korea, protests were often closed, hierarchical, and frequently involved violent clashes. But today's protests look very different. Participants engage in open discussions. Protests are often combined with cultural events, and people organize themselves autonomously using digital platforms like flash mob. In particular, real-time communication through messaging apps and social media has increased transparency. As a result, protests are no longer seen as spaces of fear, but rather as spaces of civic participation, almost like a public festival. This transformation is also clearly visible across generations. Younger generations creatively express political messages by drawing on K-pop fan culture. Meanwhile, older generations actively share their views through YouTube and online communities. Teenagers and university students are also participating, moving fluently between online and offline spaces. As a result, different generations are building solidarity in their own ways, and Korean democracy is evolving into more layered and hybrid form. This slide shows a visualization of Twitter or X data related to the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol created using NodeXL. It presents a representative snapshot of what's happening on the ground. More importantly, it visually illustrates how recent protests have evolved beyond the simple political actions, becoming spaces of culture, celebration, and solidarity. This slide shows the network structure connecting emotions, culture, media, and mode of participation among those who support the impeachment. What's important here is that changes in participation are not just about behavior. They are the result of the combination of emotions, identity, and online communities. And this combination is what makes political participation today fast, more dynamic, and much more engaged, much more energized. This slide shows an offline protest by those who oppose the impeachment. In some ways, it is similar to the pro-impeachment side, but it is somewhat less developed in terms of the cultural or festival-like aspect. It also tends to have a strong orientation towards the past hierarchical structure. What's important, however, is that regardless of whether people support or oppose the impeachment, these protest movements have ultimately given rise to the new forms of publics. Based upon Isaac Brun's framework, publics in the digital age can be understood at three different levels. First, personal publics. These are the ego-centered network made up of the friends, followers, and influencers. Second, issue publics. Networks organized around the specific topics or hashtags. And third, connected publics, where personal and issue-based networks come together to form a much larger public sphere. The interaction among these three levels significantly accelerates the spread of information. However, it also comes with a risk: the rapid spread of distortion, misinformation, and manipulated content. What you are looking at here is a diagram that illustrates how these three layers of publics are interconnected and influence one another. At the protest site, we observed the coexistence of strong publics and weak publics. Strong publics tend to be organized around the structure, strategy, and shared identity. In contrast, weak publics are driven by temporary connections, emotional moment, and participation based on empathy. These two groups do not replace one another. Instead, they jointly contribute to activating political participation. At the same time, however, they can also reinforce extreme divisions and intensify emotional conflict. The framework that helps explain this interaction is what we call the triple publics model. Communication moves from personal network to issue-based network, and then to large-scale interconnected networks. And these layers are constantly being reorganized and realigned as issues evolve. This shift suggests that democracy is moving away from systems centered on formal institutions toward one that is increasing network-driven. So far, we've looked at the theoretical perspective. Now let's continue by turning to some recent and interesting empirical data to see how these changes actually play out. Here, I'd like to introduce the concept of financialized publics. It refers to a new type of network where political participation and financial participation are closely intertwined. Emotional expressions can function as financial signals, and financial actions can in turn become political messages. In other words, participation in democracy is evolving into a hybrid form where information, emotion, and economic activity are all deeply interconnected. A good example of this is Polymarket. During the impeachment crisis, users from around the world placed bets to predict the outcome. What's significant here is that domestic politics in South Korea became a subject of activity on a global prediction market platform. In that sense, this can be seen as an early case where the traditional boundaries of democracy, nation, political parties, and elections begin to blur in the age of the cryptocurrency, blockchain-based politics. This slide shows a portion of actual data we analyzed from the Polymarket prediction market using the blockchain. The key findings here is what we call a discourse betting mismatch. Those who speak most strongly are not necessarily the ones placing bets, In other words, emotional political participation and financial risk-taking operate according to the different logics. And it is precisely at this intersection that a new type of public emerges, a hybrid public where discourse and finance come together. First, we constructed a social network graph communication network using NodeXL to map users' interaction patterns within Polymarket. In this network, users can be represented as a node, and their interactions such as replies, mentions, and reactions are modeled as directed edges. We then calculated key metrics like degree, betweenness, and network diameter to evaluate the centrality and overall cohesion within this community. Finally, the visualization you see in Figure 1 was generated using the Hairer and Coren fast multiscale algorithm, which helps optimize spatial layout and improve the readability of a medium-sized social network. This is the visualization from NodeXL. To identify cohesive subgroups, we applied the Krawczyk-Newman-Moore, or we call it CNM, community detection algorithm as shown in Figure 2 using NodeXL. This is a modularity-based hierarchical clustering method that detects groups of users who interact more frequently with each other than with those outside their groups. It's particularly well suited for medium density online discussion network, and it allows us to identify clearly interpretable clusters that correspond to distinct discourse communities. Distinct discourse communities. This phenomenon leads us to the concept of C-democracy, cryptocurrency democracy. I first introduced this term C-democracy in 2022 at the Asian Conference for Political Communication hosted by Konrad Adenauer Foundation in Singapore. Konrad Adenauer Foundation in Singapore. As democratic participation becomes intertwined with the financial motivations, the boundaries between governance, citizens, and markets are increasingly blurred. At the same time, the criteria for influence are being redefined. At the same time, the criteria for influence are being redefined. This development offers important implications for the future direction of democracy. Democracy has evolved through four stages alongside the changes in media. First, audience democracy, where people passively consume information. Second, communal democracy, based upon collective or group-driven actions. And third, fandom democracy, where participation is driven by emotion and shared interest. And fourth, fortress democracy, characterized by stronger boundaries, exclusion, and defensive attitude between opposing camps. These typology of democracy are made by me. I classified this typology. This slide presents research showing that the quality of information has declined significantly since Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter X. It serves as a case that illustrates how changes in algorithmic governance and content policies can contribute to information distortion and increase the polarization. It's very surprising, the quality of information since Elon Musk. Fandom culture is now expanding into political group formation. Identity becomes the basis for cohesion, and what we see is a kind of digital fortification, where people defend the worldview they belong to. Within this structure, extreme extreme spread more quickly and with great intensity. So far, we've looked at the structures and the patterns. Now, let's turn to what all of this means for democracy. Survey data from the United States shows that partisan hostility, emotional polarization, and distrust toward opposing groups are now at historically high levels. It's amazingly high levels. Polarization is no longer just about ideological differences. It is increasingly becoming a form of emotional disconnection. As highlighted in a 2024 article titled Most Americans Say Republican and Democratic Voters Not Only Disagree on Plans and Policies, but also cannot agree on basic facts. There is a growing perception that the divide between the two sides goes beyond the policy disagreement. In fact, many people now believe that even basic facts are no longer shared or agreed upon across partisan lines. It's surprising, divided society. South Korea shows a very similar pattern. Partisan preference and ideological identities have become increasingly fixed, and there is a growing tendency to see those on the other side not as the opponent, but as enemies. According to the 2022 survey by the Pew Research Center, about 90% of Korean adults said there are the strong conflict between supporters of different political parties. In fact, among 17 advanced economies, South Korea was identified as one of the countries where perceived partisan conflict is the highest. In another survey, around 68% of Koreans said they feel the political system is not functioning properly, and there is a clear perception of significant ideological divide between left and right, or progressive and conservative groups. This image visually illustrates how emotional polarization in politics is shaping everyday life and online communities. It was featured as a cover image in Time magazine in the United States. Portraits democracy. At the core of today's democratic crisis is the erosion of trust in elections. Across many countries, we are seeing people reject election results, the spread of conspiracy theories, and even outbreaks of political violence. This impeachment protest can also be understood as one form of social conflict triggered by this broad crisis of trust. This special issue of this leading top international journal brings together a set of studies that examine how the erosion of trust in elections manifests in different social forms. Academic attention has been placed to this issue as well. This is not just a temporary phenomenon, but part of broader structural transformation taking place on a global scale. It's pity, indeed. Nietzsche's famous statement, God is dead, refers to the collapse of established system of values. Today, democracy is approaching a similar kind of vacuum. Value vacuum. As a result, we see the speed of nihilism and extremism, spread of nihilism and extremism. This suggests that we are now at a point where new norms and public trust need to be reconstructed. Let me briefly explain what Nietzsche meant by this idea. Nietzsche declares God is dead, we have killed him. Here, God does not simply refer to a religious figure, but to absolute values such as morality, truth, and order. His point is that in the modern era, people can no longer rely on external authority. Instead, they are expected to create meaning for themselves. However, this also leads to the nihilism, where people lose a clear sense of direction. divided society. The way forward is clear. First, we need transparent communication and restoration of trust. We have to rebuild trust system. Second, we must strengthen a form of citizenship grounded in empathy. A form of citizenship grounded in empathy, not emotion-driven hostility or hate. And third, we should work toward a more connected democracy, one that bridges strong and weak publics. This, I believe, is the key to moving beyond the age of the polarization.